What is up? Welcome to the First to the Floor podcast. We've got a very special episode planned for you today. I'm joined by our New Zealand correspondent, Joe. How are you today, mate?
Yeah, good. Nice. It's a beautiful morning here, Jake. I don't know if the sun's up in Australia. Probably not.
I can hear the birds. Daylight savings clicked over a couple of weeks ago, so it's a little dark yet, but we're coming up soon. Exactly right.
Yeah, well done.
We're joined by a very special guest today, Gilbert Williams, the father of Grant Williams. How are you today, mate? Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. Doing well.
Beautiful. I can see the Equality Grant Williams jersey in the background there from the bubble. Our first kind of window into the Grant Williams experience in the playoffs, proving his incredible worth on the court. But Gilbert, I reckon we'll start with you. It looks like you were a bit of a baller yourself back in the day. Minnesota State Mavericks, inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2014, if I'm not mistaken.
What?
Yes, indeedy.
How did that happen?
All right.
Well, I played a little basketball in my time.
Oh yeah.
I did.
What was your game like?
My game was similar to Grant's. You know, I went to a school that had a 2-12 conference record before I got there, and we turned it around and went 12-2 and went to the semifinals in the NCAA tournament.
Oh wow, you guys made the tournament.
Yes.
D1.
D2.
D2. Oh man, that's cool though.
You know, in education, regardless of whether or not it's D1 or D2, it's still the same trophy and still the same scholarship opportunity.
Man, that's awesome.
That's right. That's where Grant got that post-up baseline spin move? Was that you teaching him that one?
All the time. You know,
Yes.
it's when you grow up. I grew up in New York City with the best basketball players on the planet in my time. And we had an opportunity to grow and play basketball and learn. All I could do was pass that down to my children and make sure they at least had the skills that I had. And Grant just superseded that.
Right. I do wonder what it's like I don't have kids of my own, but you kind of want your kids to be you kind of want your kids to love the same things you love. Did you find it was any conflict there with when you're raising any of your kids, but Grant included, trying to get them to be interested, and you want to teach them stuff that you know, but they don't necessarily want to hear?
Well, you got it exactly right. But fortunately, I have Grant has 4 other brothers. They all played basketball, and he was influenced most by his older brother, Gabon, who played at West Charlotte High School here. And Gabon won the state championship in the state of North Carolina. And Grant was a part, like the water boy on that team. So Grant got an opportunity to see what winning was like on a high level. And as a result, he wanted to emulate his brother and be better than him through the competition of Brotherhood.
Ideal.
Perfect.
Ideal. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Joe.
I was just wondering, how old was he when he got better than his brother?
He hasn't gotten there yet.
Oh.
Well, there's a big difference. What happens is we always tease Grant. Grant is better than his brother currently, but Grant is bigger, stronger, but not quite as fast. And one of the things that we found is that Gabon, his older brother, has a motor to die for. That means He plays the game at a ridiculous clip. And that's one of the things that we always would tell Grant, that he was never as good as Gabon because he never had Gabon motor. Right? And Grant constantly, even to this day, says, "Dad, do I have the motor yet? And I constantly tell him, "Not yet, son, not yet." So that's part of Grant's game. And recently in the playoffs, he displayed a similar motor to what guard 1 through 5. And I don't know many people in the NBA that guard 1 through 5.
No, not truly. Typically, it's people that say they guard 1 through 5. It's typically 2 through 4.
Correct.
Rarely can someone actually pick up point guards. It's rarely can someone guard Kyrie in the first quarter and then KD in the second, and then also bang with Nicholas Claxton in the fourth. Very rare.
It was pretty interesting when they started switching off Grant, right? Like Grant would have a guy and teams would start bringing up, somebody else in the pick and roll to get Grant off the ball. That was pretty cool, man.
Well, look, I hashtag Grant. I coined the phrase growing in the game because Grant is a person that never gets enough, never stops learning. He continues to grow in the game. So I copyrighted hashtag growing in the game because that's what I've called Grant since he was a freshman in high school. And I knew that he would be able to succumb all of the negativity because Grant wasn't the top player in North Carolina in high school. He was like 150. Grant was going to go to Yale. At least that's that we wanted for him to go to.
Yeah, that's right.
But Grant decided that he wanted to go play Division I basketball in a high conference, the SEC. So he chose Tennessee without his mother and his father's blessings.
Okay.
Oh,
there we go.
So he went to Tennessee and he charted his own path.
Well,
how does that go?
Yeah. So something I learned recently. I just flew back from. I did a little bit of a tour of the south of the US, and I was in Nashville, Tennessee. And I'm wearing my Celtics gear around. And something I realized off of Twitter this week, and the more Grant content that gets posted from our account is that they love him down there. That he made a really significant and positive impact on the community down there. People that reach out on the internet and just chatting to people on the ground, they're like, "Oh, we loved Grant. We loved what he brought to the game." They probably would disagree a little bit with your motor, but I think Cabon clearly has a elite motor because people love that about Grant, that he's diving on the floor, he's willing to put his body on the line. But that's been something that, from Tennessee perspective, still see. I saw some Grant Williams jerseys still up in Dick's Sporting Goods when we were looking for some gear. But yeah, so clearly made an impact in Tennessee.
Well, strangely enough, and just happenstance, I happen to be wearing a shirt.
I noticed, yeah.
Grant's college career. And just happenstance that I have this shirt on, and we're talking about Grant now. But look, the people in Tennessee and Grant have a special relationship. When a kid comes to your school, as I said, 143, 146, whatever that number was, and has goals and objectives as Grant has, and becomes the SEC Player of the Year 2 years consecutively, he made a statement. And that statement was that I am somebody to be acknowledged and someone to follow. And Grant has a personality that is very special. And Grant has a very kind. And it's not hard to get along with a person like Grant because he's a special individual and he's a credit to humanity, in my opinion.
Oh,
I agree.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. I mean, yeah. Go ahead, Joe.
I was just going to say, hey, he loves making statements, and maybe if his motor isn't on Gabon's level, he's got a motor mouth. And I know Jake had some questions along those lines.
Yeah, so I mean, Grant and his personality, I think, is something that Celtics fans have definitely fallen in love with. Clearly, he's a big talker, whether it's refs, coaches, teammates. Where does that come from? Is that from you, Gilbert, or is that from his mum, Teresa?
I think he's a blend of both of us.
Yeah.
Can't say who he's more like. And I would think a lot of that is me. But Grant usually is right when he says something. Now, yes, he can never shut up. Even his coaches to this day tell me, is he ever going to shut up? And I said, he'll shut up when he has nothing of value to say. But he has has to keep it. He keeps it real. He keeps it within the framework of whatever you're discussing. So I can't say if he ever will, because they asked me to shut him down some. And I have that ability now. So what makes you think I'm ability now that he's a grown man?
Yeah, and especially now, the confidence, it's only growing. And I love that phrase. We say growing in the game. What, do I have that right?
Growing in the game.
It's hashtag growing the game. We have to keep pushing that one out. That just makes me think that the alignment with the Celtics is even more perfect. I'm not sure if you know this, Gilbert, but they have a phrase plastered on some of the beams in the practice facility, Kaizen, which kind of came from Brad Stevens and his favorite book, Kaizen, which is the growth mindset, the art of continually improving. And I think the entire Celtics organization, from Brad down to Jalen, all those players, they're always getting better and better. And Grant clearly fits right into that culture. Is that something that he's always displayed? Is that strong work ethic, that kind of commitment to getting better every year?
Well, that is true, but you also have to understand what Tennessee stands for. If you've ever been in the locker room in Knoxville, Tennessee, where they play. But
yeah, Jake, have you ever been in that locker room?
Yeah, look, I was not blessed with the height, so unless I was in there as a media person, no, don't think so.
Well, if you look in the gym, they have something called INAM. That's the saying of that team. And you know what that means? It's not about me. INAM. So you notice that Grant is a very unselfish player. All right, he is a construction worker, and his work ethic, and he'll do whatever it takes to get the building done, or to finish the game, or to win. All right, and it doesn't matter how many points he scores, or how many rebounds he gets, or even how much playing time he has, because it's not about him. It's about the team. It's about winning. It's about doing it the right way. So INAM is something that Grant lives by. Now, you get a lot of players who shoot the ball a lot. We have a lot of those on the Boston Celtics, and they're very good scorers. Right? But somebody has to do the dirty work. Somebody has to mix the concrete. Somebody has to sweep the floor. Someone has to lay the brick. All right? And Grant is that guy who's going to do those things that those other people don't have to do because of their skill level.
Alex Caruso's you're probably familiar with him as a guard on the Bulls now. He had an interview with JJ Redick, and he talked about how, when you're coming into the NBA, like, they don't need a CEO necessarily. Like, they need a janitor or a construction worker.
Right.
But I guess as you progress through time, you're going to get a promotion, right? So, where do you see Grant's kind of idealized NBA role? What do you think the best version of him at an NBA level looks like?
Well, if he continues to grow in the game, he will be something very special. I've watched this game my entire life, and I know a lot of my best friends play the game on the highest levels. And I want Grant to be great, but Grant has his own path. Grant it's hard to describe. There are scorers, there are rebounders. Like Dennis Rodman made his own way in the league. Truck Robinson did that. Kareem did it. Julius Erving did it. Grant is creating his own mold. So you can't compare Grant to other players, because Grant is going to have his own existence in that league, and he's going to do the things that Grant does. And we're not trying to be like anybody else. We're just trying to be ourselves. And that's what I always preach to my children. Be yourself. Do the best you can. Never let anybody take you off of your game. Play at the level. Don't let them speed you up. Don't let them slow you down. But continue to play at the level that you're most successful at. And don't let anybody take away your success. As long as you work hard and you do all the right things, then that's going to work for you. And that's what Grant does. So not to compare him, not to try and do, but to try and be your own person and to have your own style and let that work for you.
I know one player that Grant spoke about how he kind of modeled his game after was PJ Tucker, and they got to match up against each other in the Eastern Conference Finals this year. And PJ Tucker has an interesting, career in the sense that he had to go overseas in order to kind of find his way back into the NBA and find his role. And I think that was a fair comparison maybe earlier in the year. But I think as the playoffs progressed, and especially what we've seen from Grant coming into this year, at still such a young age, PJ Tucker's in 30, he really didn't find his way in the league until he was 30 plus. So I think there was elements of PJ Tucker's game and Grant that you could find parallels with, but the way that Grant has now started to display the offensive arsenal, he's not just a stand in the corner shooter. That was something that he definitely showed his worth last year, but now we're starting to see a little bit more off the dribble. I know that's something he showed a lot at Tennessee, was getting in the post, playmaking. He had a really nice pass to Hauser in the preseason. So is that kind of where you see the next steps for Grant as he finds his footing?
Well, for me, Grant has all of those skills. Okay, he has every one of those skills. Grant has been surrounded by some of the greatest basketball players in the world, and Grant is a very learned person. I have challenged Grant to put the ball on the floor, to attack, all right? But Grant is a role player on the Celtics. He is not there to do anything else but to play his role. Now, I've insisted that Grant, when they go to a smaller lineup or when they go to a lineup without Jason and Jalen, I've expressed to Grant that you have to be the one to carry that offense. You can't just sit back and let everybody else do something because it's not successful for your team. So Grant is growing in his game. His confidence is growing. And Grant could always shoot the ball. Grant could dribble the ball very well. I don't know why people are shocked. All right? I'm not shocked. But Grant is just starting to scratch the surface of what his potential is in the league. And again, he's going to be Grant. He's not going to be PJ. PJ is a great person. They were both coached by Rick Barnes. And but PJ is 33. Okay? And PJ
37, I think now.
Whatever he is, he's in the and And the thing that bothers me the most is the comps that they give the NBA. And that's what you talked about, comps. His comp is a PJ Tucker. His comp is Larry Nance Jr. His comps are Draymond Green. He has comps similar to those players, okay, because they are constantly trying to compare you to somebody else. When he came out of college, there was a guy who played at Indiana we had a big comp on. I can't remember his name.
David West, maybe?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was a comp when Grant came out of college on who they were looking for Grant to play like. But what I'm trying to tell you is Grant's going to play like Grant. All right. And he's going to develop his own comps along the way because I believe, just like PJ Tucker, Grant will be in that league for quite some time.
Oh, Grant's going to be in the league for a long, long time and have a lot of success doing it. I think that a lot of rookies get to come into situations where they're in losing situations and they are able to display. I think a lot of the skills that Grant clearly has, and we're seeing more of now, is the dribbling and the passing. But because he was drafted to a team like the Celtics, who had championship aspirations and was stacked with talent, he was kind of forced into his role. And it's exciting to see him now getting the chance and the encouragement from his teammates to show off more of that full arsenal. So I'm very excited to see that continue to grow this year.
He's kind of earned that, right? Like, you start knocking down threes at 40%, like then you're a shooter that they have to close out on. You earn the right to put the ball on the floor with becoming a knockdown shooter. Did he always have that NBA range? I mean, like, obviously he could always shoot it, but, you know, there's a difference between shooting, you know, from 15 feet and then from 20, 22, you know? Did he always kind of range?
Understand basketball and what happens in basketball. When you're in high school and college and you're over 6'6", they don't want you shooting the ball and three. You know, there are very few people. Kevin Durant is very special. All right. And people like that are very special because they are on teams that have additional big people that you can have that opportunity to go deeper. But in college, if he shot a three in college, he shot maybe 2 or 3. Rick Barnes would have a seat. Okay? So you have to stay in your lane. You have to know your place. And in order to win, you have to go and they play at your strengths. So he's had the ability to shoot the ball for quite some time. No, has he shot threes? No, it's not proven, but he's had the ability to shoot the threes. You know, he came home last summer and he worked on threes. This summer, we worked on threes. He shot 1,000 threes a day. And his percentage is scary. I can't tell you what it is, but it's scary. I've never seen it in my life the percentage that he's shooting 3-pointers at on the look, oh my God. Look, we worked on some things. We went to London and Spain. We spent about 3 weeks. We worked out every day in different gyms in London and in Madrid. We worked at Atletico, and in Barcelona, we worked at Barcelona. He shot the ball very, very well with all of his brothers attacking him, including myself. And, brutal, okay? And the young man shot the ball extremely well. So we're really looking forward to his ability to shoot the ball from deep, and they better not leave him alone.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think the secret's out on Grant Williams shooting. I mean, that's definitely going to get Celtics fans excited hearing about that. And you know, speaking of that percentage getting scary, I've got to ask you about, you know, obviously he had an incredible year, kind of incredible playoff run, but Game 7 against the Milwaukee Bucks, Grant Williams is a Celtics hero. He's going to live on forever. If he never did anything else in the league, he would live on forever in Celtics lore. What was that like as a parent? Were you in there? Were you in the building for that game? How was that?
In the building for every playoff game. Had a great opportunity to watch my son. I followed, he and his mother and I followed every game in the playoffs. And it was very good to see. But if you're going to leave that man alone in the corner, you're going to put Brook Lopez on him, and he's not going to move his feet to get out on there, then he's got to shoot the ball. And he shot the ball, and as a result, he was very successful. I wish he could have made a few more.
He shot like 18, right? It was like 7 for 18.
Yeah. And it was funny because Jason Tatum said, Grant shot the ball. Never get that many shots again. And it was just unreal, you know, to watch your child in a Game 7 show out.
Legendary.
Yeah.
And that's a relationship that's definitely grown. I was lucky enough to get over to Boston for game 2 of the Brooklyn Nets series, my first ever Celtics game in person. Amazing experience, 17-point comeback. But something that I noticed beforehand and we'd seen on social media is Jason and Grant every game they're playing a little one-on-one in the corner, taking threes over each other, and in the post game conferences and all the interviews, they're always going at each other. Who's stronger? You know, Grant can shoot, but he's not that tall. How's that relationship developed?
You know, it's a brotherhood. You know, those guys. Look, it's a long season, okay, and you have to endure the season with a group of guys, and it's never easy. Okay, so Grant and Jason have a brotherly type relationship from what I've seen. Okay, and brothers juke at brothers. Brothers always compete against one another. So it's just a brotherly type relationship that I feel that they've developed through their friends as well, because they have similar friends. All right. They have a lot in common. All right. And they've been playing since high school. So it's been a while. And they've been competing against one another since high school in Peach Jam, because Jason beat CP3, the team that Grant played for the championship. And Harry Giles and Jason Tatum are best buds. And Harry Giles and Grant played on the same team. So it's been a carousel of calamity as well as very interesting.
I love it.
What was it like? So this is a little bit of a jump around, but it just kind of triggered me. I was just wondering what the draft process was like from the family's perspective, and what is when you knew he was going to be picked by the Celtics.
Well, let me just say this: that was a very sad day for me, personally. All right, grew up in New York.
Of course.
Look, Grant is a first-team All-American, consensus All-American, and we were not invited by the NBA to come to the NBA draft. Okay? They invited a lot of other people because they're only bringing so many people and pay their expenses to come to the draft. Grant was not one that they invited. So I wanted to go to New York. I wanted to hear my son's name called. I had all of my friends and family that I grew up going to the draft. And when they did not invite him, Grant says, hey, no big deal. We'll just stay here and we'll go over to my friend Lucas's house and we'll have a draft party. And if I get drafted, then we'll just celebrate. So at the draft itself, as we were sitting there, we were looking at who was drafted in front of him. And we thought he could go anywhere between 16 and 24. A couple of trades were made, some moves were made. Utah jumped out and traded away. Boston traded the pick to Memphis, which turned
to Brandon Clark. Yeah.
Brandon Clark. And we thought he had a good chance of going to Memphis, because we thought that was a good place for him to bring his Tennessee fan base with him. Mm-hmm. And my brother said he would go to Memphis, but my brother said he would be a Celtic from the beginning. Okay? And strangely enough, when he was finally drafted by the Celtics, we were all sitting there and we saw that Brandon Clark was going. We said, well, he's next. We knew it. He's the next one of his size and who plays that position to be next. And we were sitting there and he got the call. And we got the call 2 minutes before they announced him, like a minute. Mm-hmm. Okay. When he got the call, his high school coach and all of his friends jumped up and down and jumped on him, his mother, etc. For me, it was a tear of sadness, because a tear ran down my right eye, because he was drafted by the Boston Celtics, and I'm a New York Knicks fan.
Still,
forever.
Well, Gilbert, it's been great to have you.
Look, yeah. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, no. Look, I just have to tell you what happened. You want to know the story?
Oh, of course.
I want to know the story, man.
The tear came down my eye, but I was very pleased because I knew that Boston was the best place for Grant and his development and his future. And I thought it was a great fit because there were 3 teams that I thought he would fit at. And one was Boston, the second was San Antonio, and the third was Utah. And I thought that Grant's game would be something that he could develop within those 3 organizations. Mm. Now, quite naturally, I'm a Boston fan with my son playing there. Okay? And I love the fact that he has taken that city and embraced it. And it's become a part of his being because he loves Boston. He loves everything about Boston. And as I told the people that were with the Boston Celtics organization, the community service group, I said, if you ever need somebody to come out and do something and represent the Celtics, this is your guy. And Grant has lived up to that 1,000%. because if they need something, if they have anything going on, any program, could be the smallest thing from going to the pool and swimming with Taco and teaching kids how to swim and learning how to swim,
Yes.
to giving out checks for small business. I mean, whatever it is, Grant is the guy that represents that Celtic brand. Okay, and that's very special, to be a guy that you can call on and embrace, and a person will come and follow up and be there. And Grant, that guy.
Yeah, the dependability and the reliability carries over on and off the court. I mean, I can sympathize with the New York fandom, but I think as far as Grant's career going, I do agree that Boston is definitely. I mean, I don't know. You've been through some pain, especially in the last 10, 15 years as a New York Knicks fan. It's probably refreshing. You can come to Boston and experience some playoff success.
With basketball, absolutely. But I can only tell you this: in 1972, I was at the game when the Knicks won the championship, and it's 2022. It's been a while, all right? It's been a while, trust me. And it's going to be a long while again, Boston, and it'll be a long time for Knicks fans to enjoy anything. But it won't happen this year or next year or next year. But, it's something, when you grow up with a team, you go with that team.
Oh,
of course. Just picking up on your comment about the teams you wanted them to land on, Gil, was it, if I think about what those teams have in common, one, they were all, San Antonio was still a playoff team at that point. Utah was good. Was it just you wanted them to go to a good team that also had a record of developing players? Was that kind of like your mentality there?
My mentality was the development. Wasn't so much the championship or the playoffs or anything like that, because I was sure that Grant at some point in his career would be in that position, and whatever team he ends up on. But the development in those three cities, the player development, I thought was second to none. Mm-hmm. You can't go to an LA and you can, I guess, and get developed like you can in a Boston or San Antonio. Utah didn't really have that, but they were developing a good team, and they did have one until they just
blew it up.
So I believe that's a place where I know the places where my son can thrive and not be someone who is overtaken by that culture. Okay, like a New York or LA or those big cities are, and Boston, don't get me wrong, is a big city. But Grant is not the go out kind of kid. He's not going to be out in the streets. He's not going to be chasing skirts. He's not going to do any of them. Okay? And Grant doesn't do anything harmful to his body or anything negative, in the public eye. So I worry about my child in those three cities in particular, especially in early years of his career. That's what I'm saying.
How have you seen him develop? Like, what have you noticed from a developmental perspective that you think is really being added to him in his time at the Celtics?
Well, I think that his ability to become a pro, and that's a big thing, understanding the life of a pro, to live as a pro, to work out as a pro. The NBA doesn't necessarily give you the high school or college workout scenario where you go in the gym and you're running laps and you're doing this and suicides and things of that nature. You're pretty much on your own to develop. And they have the coaching staff and the people support team to assist you on the pro level, but you have to bring forth the energy and the professionalism in order to accept those things. All right, it's a big difference. And, people often say, what's the pro game like? Well, the pro game is about individual workouts in order to make yourself better, and then putting those workouts in a team concept. So basketball is just one thing to me, and I've taught Grant his whole life. Basketball is an individual sport in a team concept. If you think about it, you'll understand what I mean. Michael Jordan couldn't be Michael Jordan without being an individual and a team concept.
It's like jazz, right? You know, it's an individual and a team concept.
That's correct. All of it.
That was a nice little tidbit. Are you still playing any music, Gil?
Well, you know, strangely enough, all of that in my bio is incorrect.
Set the record straight, mate.
Okay.
You need a place with you need to come to a massive platform here, and you're able to be able to set the record straight.
Well, I can make it straight for you. His grandfather is a jazz musician.
Okay.
I myself was in the personal protection business originally, and I bodyguarded entertainers. All right. And I did major concerts around the world by the biggest artists on the planet. I was around the entertainment business, but nor have I ever been a jazz musician.
Okay, there we go. The internet is full of lies, everyone.
Yeah, well,
the record is straight.
Something that came out in the original press release.
Yeah.
Right, that was written by someone who did not speak to me. Okay? So to get the record straight, I've never been a jazz musician other than when I was 12 years old and I played in a little jazz band in camp.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What did you play? What was your instrument?
Trombone. I played trombone, clarinet. I have multiple instruments that I have played in my life. Okay, but I have never, or will I ever, be in a jazz band.
Well, okay. So this podcast every year plays some pretty in-depth trivia.
Okay.
And one of the questions this year was, which current Celtics father used to bodyguard for Prince?
Okay.
Do you know the answer to that one?
I do. Yours truly.
That's right. So again, that piece we've got right.
Could Prince really hoop? Like, that's what you hear.
Yeah. No, he had a gym at the house, and look, he would play all the time. He played in high school. You know, I went to school in Minnesota. So that's where I had the opportunity to meet the young man prior to his stardom.
Right. So you knew Prince before he was famous?
Yes. I knew him when he was in the band called Flight Time. He and Jimmy Jam and all those guys used to go around and play all the college campuses. Yes.
How about that,
awesome.
Yeah, Morris. I know all of those guys personally because I knew them before they were rich and shameless.
What was his game like? Like, he's a little guy, right? Like, was he
guard?
Yeah. Was he like an Allen Iverson guard, or was he like an Isaiah Thomas kind of guard?
Allen Iverson or Isaiah Thomas guard, dude. That doesn't happen. He was a Prince guard. All right. You cannot look. There you go with the comps again.
Yeah. I'm just trying to understand.
He can play bad. He can probably beat you. All right. Maybe.
I don't doubt it.
Look, maybe.
That's not saying much.
Look. No, he was very competitive. He had a jump shot. He could shoot the lights out of the ball very well, right? But he could talk more than Grant. Grant doesn't talk on the floor. You know, he doesn't talk mess on the floor when he's playing in the NBA. What he talks basketball when he's on the floor and defensive schemes and offensive schemes, but he doesn't talk boo-boo on the floor. All right? Prince talks boo-boo all the time. Floor. All right? So Prince would always make sure that he surrounded himself with people that could complement his game and would allow him to ball. Because I don't think there's ever been a bad shot that Prince took that he thought was a bad shot. He didn't know what bad shot was.
That's right. So he surrounded himself. Yeah.
So, you know, most musicians and entertainers play basketball. You know, New Edition played basketball. You know, everybody plays basketball. All these rapper guys, everybody wants to play basketball. J. Cole, all these guys. So basketball is something that all of them have in common. And when you look for commonalities, when you're meeting people, like you have media commonalities, you probably do a lot of other things that you have friends and you've met friends by, and you get a chance to talk about those things. Well, basketball is just a vehicle for friendship and international growth.
I feel like we're friends now, Gil. I feel like, even though you said I couldn't beat Prince, I still feel like we're friends.
And we're friends. Look, strangely enough, you guys are down under. And every year Grant was in high school, they hosted a team from down under to come play in high school. And every year, that's 4 years, I hosted a group of 4 young men from your countries that stayed at my house while they played here in Charlotte. So I'm very close to you guys in regards to, because I have bears and all kinds of things and gifts that they brought me and left here as a result of their stay. So they lived in my house, they ate here, they were part of my family for 2 or 3 days. So every year I feel a closeness to you guys down there.
You should come down. Especially when it's cold over there. Come down here, get some warmth.
Hey, look, let's continue to talk offline. And we can arrange that. And who knows, I might be there in a few minutes. Look.
There we go.
Perfect.
Right, well, you got a place to stay in Sydney and Auckland. So there you go.
I need them both, and don't be surprised.
Yeah, man, 100% on. I'll take you to Hobbiton if you're in the Lord of the Rings. That's where we take all the tourists.
I'd like to do all of that. I'd love to come in and spend a couple of days with you guys, and maybe we can do something while we're there to enrich young people.
Oh,
yeah,
sounds awesome.
I got some ideas.
Good.
Perfect. Before we let you get out of here, you did say that Grant doesn't like to talk on the court. I do think that's true, but I want to ask you about some of the little rivalries he's kind of picked up along the way, and I have a little clip for us to watch here. One in particular.
As Smart gets into the front court, finds Brown. Brown goes inside, blocked by Green. Terrific defensive play from Draymond Green, who has some words. And a moving screen call on Grant Williams as Draymond Green draws the foul. Green and Williams going face to face again. They did it in game 2 in San Francisco. Grant Williams is young, but he's not one to hold back talking. No, he picks up his first foul.
Okay.
Mr. Draymond Green. And I think this is something that Grant really endeared himself to, not just Celtics fans, but I think NBA fans around the league. How are your thoughts on Draymond Green and their little rivalry?
Well, Draymond and Grant are best of. Let's not get it twisted. All right. All right. Draymond gave Grant a signed jersey, which is on Grant's wall at his house. They exchanged jerseys. All right. So Draymond is Grant's guy. But once again, this is basketball. You play on a different team, and you will not be punked by anybody. And Draymond has some issues, as you can tell from his latest.
Yeah.
All right. And after he did that, Grant and I had a father and son conversation, as you would have with your children if they were in a fight, at least in my house where I grew up with my father. All right. And we had a father-son conversation. It's either him or me. Which one do you want? All right. That can't happen again. All right. And that's how I can close that. Understand. I'm an 8th degree black belt. Been one since I was. Okay. Well trained. Master.
In what? In which art?
Shotokan karate. That's why I'm able to become a bodyguard, and that just happens to happen because people wanted me around because they knew I had skills. All right. I didn't start playing basketball until I was a junior in high school. As a matter of fact, this morning I had a conversation with a young man named Steve Shepard. I don't know if you knew him. He was the number 1 player in New York, went to University of Maryland, and played for the Chicago Bulls in the 1976 Olympic team, USA.
Okay.
And and his name was Steve Shepard, All-American. And he was talking about, he was around me. We grew up in the same neighborhood. And he said, you know what? The karate that you took earlier helped you in basketball. And we talked about John Lucas and how tennis helped him. And we went through all of the people that we personally know and talked about the experiences of different sports and how they related to our games. So Grant has been around a very dangerous person. Okay. His entire life. Has been around all of the greatest musicians and entertainers ever. Okay. Period. Second to none. I have been around everybody in your record collection, your mother's record collection, and your grandmother's record collection. And I worked for someone who I was in charge of their protection during an event. Okay, so we don't play that thing. We don't. No, we will not be punked. Right? That's not going to happen. And, the media made it bigger than what it was. But to be honest with you, when I got back to Grant's house after the game, you know what happened to the jersey, right? Picked it up off the wall, put it in the corner.
Okay.
Put Kevin Durant's in its place. Okay? Kevin Durant was on the floor. Draymond's was on the wall. I picked Draymond's up off the wall and took it to a corner of that room and faced it toward the corner. Because I knew it was going to be on the next game.
Yes, sir.
So that's
going to war.
Draymond went to the corner, right? When you send a kid to the corner, go to the corner. You're bad. Go to the corner. Draymond went to the corner, and that's where he stayed throughout the playoffs.
Oh, great! Yeah.
I love it. Well, look, I'm a white belt in jiu-jitsu, so when you come down, I'm sure we can spar. I'll show you a couple moves.
Look, I don't play with children. All right.
Oh.
That's fair. Maybe I'm probably better off teaching you how to surf than I am teaching you how to fight. Let's be honest.
That would be a wonderful thing.
That would be fun.
So
now,
got for you. I can't expose any more inner secrets and hidden of my family life with you. But you've gotten the jazz music thing, and you've gotten the Draymond corner. All right.
Oh man, that's awesome stories. That's so good. That would 100% have been put in the paper. Like if they'd found that out during the playoffs, I'd have loved that.
Oh, that's gold. Mate, yeah, Gil, mate, you've been absolutely so generous with your time. Thanks so much for stopping by, and we appreciate the time you've given us.
Well, I appreciate you guys reaching out. I don't do this often. I usually stay to myself and don't get on these podcasts. But, hey, you got the first shot at it, and you guys are far enough away that I know that it won't hurt me that much.
I was going to say, hopefully you're not going to get in trouble with Grant. Does Grant know that you're doing this?
No.
Excellent. Beautiful.
It'll shock him. It'll shock him. But he'll understand. Look, just like I can't control him, the opposite is the same.
Yes, right. I love it.
Him and Smart are my favorite players on the team. I got 2 autographed basketball cards by Grant. I really hope he stays on the team. I'm eagerly awaiting the extension signing. Yeah. I love his game.
You have to understand how many extensions has the Boston Celtics given out in the last 8?
Rob Williams, Jalen, Tatum. Well, all the guys we've drafted,
Marcus.
Right? Yeah, Marcus. Yeah. So then it was a while before then. Avery Bradley would have been the one before that. So
the first.
Yeah. Sorry?
Avery Bradley was the first.
Yeah, that'd be right.
Marcus Smart was the second. He denied it. Kendrick Perkins was the third.
True.
Robert Williams was the fourth, because you can't put Jalen and Jason in the same.
True.
You can't put them in there. All right. So actually, there are four: Avery Bradley, Marcus Smart, Kendrick Perkins, and Robert Williams. And look at those deals. Look at all four of those deals, which are extremely team friendly. Extremely team friendly. And I didn't get this. Look, I didn't make this up. General manager had a conversation with me, the our analytical general manager. He's the one that brought that to my attention. And he says, Boston is a difficult place to get an extension of any meaning. Robert took the extension because Robert
injury issues. Yeah.
Kendrick Perkins took the extension because of very similarly, Grant is a different person than every one of those people other than Marcus Smart. And Marcus Smart had to come back the next year, and they gave him a little more than what they anticipated giving him in the extension. All right?
Yeah, I remember. Yep.
When you're doing the math, and we're an educated family. We're very, we understand basketball. We understand a lot of things, and that's what the guy told me. He said Grant understands all of this, with the exception of the salary cap and those things and the taxes, and he's going to learn that. Grant is Grant will probably be a general manager one day of a team. Okay?
Of the Celtics, of course.
Obviously.
There's a strong possibility that Grant will be around that franchise for a very long time. And we would love for Grant to be there for the rest of his career.
Yeah.
Okay? That would be ideal, as anybody else who plays for that organization wants their people to be there forever. But you have to look at all of the players the Boston Celtics have allowed to leave there and have been very successful after they left there. Crowder,
Tony Allen.
Look, you can go on we can have a whole talk show about that.
Yes, sir.
All right? About the talent that's walked out of Boston, all right, for economical reasons.
Look, we've been banging the table. Every time Grant steps on that court, the price seems to be going up. So all I'll say is Brad Stevens is still relatively new, so we can't say too much on the track record. I reckon things will get done.
And they will. And we're look, by no means am I trying to influence any of that by any means, shape, or form. I'm just giving you the facts. Since you're all right, and those are the facts that I was led to believe, and that's what I was told, and I just live by that. By the people who actually make the decisions.
Yes, sir. Perfect. Well, Gil, mate, you've got more important things to do than talk to two fellas down under. We appreciate it. We're super excited for Grant's career going forward. Take it easy.
And maybe we can revisit this when we win the championship this year.
Yeah, let's do it. We're holding you to that.
And we can chat maybe on the way, and we can revisit this.
Yeah,
100%.
All right,
100%. You're welcome back anytime, no question.
Yeah, if you got to get some takes off, man, you know where to call.
Exactly. Yeah. If so the ref screws Grant, whatever it happens, this is the place you can come to vent.
They always do. Actually, they always do. You know what? This really annoys me. No, he gets in legal guarding position so times guys will go straight into his chest and they'll call a blocking foul on Grant. I understand why he loses the plot at refs.
Well, look,
he moves his feet properly, man. He gets a real rough whistle. He's like the new Daniel Tice.
Well, who are you going to give the foul to? Let's talk about that. 1 second.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Now you open the can of worms. Now, look, are you going to give the foul to Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, Robert Williams, Al Horford, or are you going to give it to Grant?
Yeah, well, they're not going to call it on Giannis. That's for sure.
Look, yeah. So if that's the 5 that's in the game, all right, and everybody's all together, who are you going to give the foul to?
He's going to earn that rep. It's coming. He's going to get that.
That comes with time and exposure and them watching you play and you know, it being brought up.
Well, I'm bringing it up now. He gets an awful whistle, man. It's not fair.
Alrighty, Gil.
Yeah, sorry.
No, good tangent. It's true. It's true. We're gonna
look. I agree with you. I just gave you
the reason why.
All right, and there's a reason for everything they do. You know, I mean.
Oh, beautiful.
All right, but I understand the reasons, and you know what? He told me that.
Right.
You know, he's the one that said, "Dad, who are you gonna get a foul to?"
That's right. He's the punching bag in the locking room, and he's the punching bag when it comes to fouls as well. Someone's got to do it. Someone's got to do the dirty work.
Somebody got it. But if you can take it, all right. If you can take it, then it makes you a better person. All right. Look, they have to release on somebody, and look, he's not going to stop talking. So look, it is what it is.
Yes, sir. Oh, beautiful. All righty. Thank you so much.
All right, guys.
Joe, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of First to the Floor. That's been an incredible interview with Gilbert Williams. Talk to you next time.